Can I just say, I need to make this joke here, okay? THORKELL, I love him. Such an adorable, chaotic, bloodthirsty goofball that can make you laugh, make you terrified. But you have to admit that he does remind you of anime watchers when complaining that there's no action. With Season 2 having a lot less action of Vinland Saga, you know damn well that THORKELL's the type of mofo who wouldn't watch Season 2 if there wasn't a constant string of action. And to see him just so upset with the prince who, honestly, by the end of the episode, he becomes king. The fact that what used to take 10 years took 2 to 3 years for Prince Canute to become a king of England. And to just see the grumpiness, the disappointment that his battles get cut short, or the fact that by the end of the episode, you see him just sitting there drinking, pouting like he just got his dessert taken away from him. That is the most funny thing ever, because it really is the representation of like some people who complain that Season 2 doesn't have enough action, and then there's THORKELL basically being the embodiment of that opinion. And I love Season 2, man, and I love THORKELL. Now I do a full live reaction to today's episode, available on my Patreon, so if you want to see my full uncut thoughts, head on over there and consider supporting, because yeah, this episode was dedicated to the king. It was dedicated to Canute, and man, the boy got a glow up. And to just see how quickly things have happened and how quickly things have changed, right? I mean, we literally watched him go from simply just being a boy watching a father's head get cleanly cut off by Aslad to then just end up by where we were. I mean, there was some intimidating aura, but also a level of kindness that kind of mixed together all in one. So initially, when we first kick off this episode, we see the typical plundering, right? We're seeing women ripped from their tent, you know where that's going. You have people being sold off into slavery, and Canute's just like, what are you doing? Like, why are they doing this? And of course, the general, like, this is what happens. It's the spoils of war. And then he's like, hey, cut off their heads and put them on spikes. Make an example. We don't do that around here. And I'm like, oh man, he is not playing. And the fact that the difference of opinion, right? So you have these people doing these horrible acts of war, and just because that's how it's always been, he says no to that. But when THORKELL comes running in, and I mean, he had like 3 or 4 guys holding him back because he was ready to swing. And the fact that he actually just appreciated the brutal honesty, because a character like THORKELL, he's a violent menace, but he has his own code, he has his own morals that he works with. He may not always agree with him. He's like saying, hey, we can't just cut off everyone's head. But at the very least, his response, his anger, he appreciates the honesty. And it's just, to see him just so unfazed by someone who's literally the embodiment of the Tasmanian devil, but unfortunately has axes in his hands that if he gets going, I mean, everyone's losing a limb at the very least. It's just crazy. But I think what really made me appreciate is that because this episode's entirely dedicated to his storyline, right? And I mean, as they say, like last time a conquest like this took 10 years. The fact that he did it in just a couple, the fact that you go over to a man who, as he says, has a backbone, he's not willing to betray. He offers up about 8,000 pounds worth of jewels and like riches, and truthfully, if this was all about money, that's a pretty nice payday. You could literally go retire and live out your days in luxury. But the fact that he just in such a bold way throws it in his face, you're like, do you really think that buying me off my own land is what I'm here for? I'm here to reclaim. I'm here to dispose of the false king. And I like the fact that for him, right, I like when you have characters who recognize loyalty or recognize characters with backbone. Because do you really want someone who just immediately can be persuaded, like, ooh, you have a big army and you're going to stab the person that you're apparently loyal in the back? Why would you not do the same thing to me at some point as someone with a bigger army came a-knocking, right? So the fact that they literally had that intense conversation, and by the time they left the tent, he was like, hey, the dude has a backbone, let's put the backbone to a test. Yes, he ended up breaking him by the end, but the fact that he didn't just immediately switch, it really does paint a picture that you need to know that I'm the alpha, that I'm the top dog, that I'm the Chad around here. And when he lit that giant flame, I was like, what is that? Like, what is he doing? What is he signaling? Like, is like a catapult about to launch something? But no, it was all fear tactics that he's like, this is how easily I can burn this village down. You want to be my friend. You really do. And to see the underhanded method he went about disposing of not one, not two, he disposed of anyone who picked up that crown, and so quickly it came out to be no one else wanted to do it. Yeah, sometimes it took 7 months, maybe it took a year to dispose of each king, but he did so in such a quick way because at the end of the day, it's not about how you get the kill, it's about making sure everyone knows not to mess with the true King of England. And I mean, he did that. It's brutal, it's dishonest, but I mean, here's the thing, he got the job done. He absolutely did. It does feel like at some point our boys are going to come face to face with King Canute, and I'm not sure what that's going to look like. I feel like at some point war will reach their doorstep, whether that's from Canute's side or an opposing side, I'm not sure. But I mean, this was a great episode. At first I was a little worried that by the midway point when we get the classic transition and you see some people like building something, I was like, oh, we're going back to the farm. Very happy to see, no, they were just building the brazier, right? Because ultimately that's their intimidation tactic. Because had they broken this episode up into both sides' perspectives, I think it would have felt like a downgrade. Because not to say I don't want to see more of Thorfinn and Einar, I do, I want to see more of that. But in an episode like this, for a character we haven't seen yet this season, minus the little tease at the end of last week's episode, this is exactly what you needed to do pacing-wise, and it really gets across just, this man did something so quick, so effective, and really, I mean, the fact that you didn't need THORKELL most of the time to take care of business, yeah, it may disappoint him and people wanting to see crazy action, but man, the fact that just a little poisoned wine goes a hell of a long way. I also thought the overall, like, establishing shots in this episode were really effective. Like, the first shot, or one of the first shots in this episode, is like the birds kind of flying away and kind of transitioning. There's the moment initially when they're walking out of the tent and you just see the sun. It just feels like we're like almost approaching the sun and we're being engulfed in flames. They just really get a sense of like good dramatic shots, whether it's the birds flying away because, well, ultimately it really does say a lot about like establishing the death coming up, or the fact that it's such a heated conversation so they're focusing on the sun in that kind of sunset beautiful but almost chaotic way. I just really think the directing is doing a hell of a good job this season, and honestly, this is one of the best directed episodes, hands down, of the season of Vinland to date. I am excited, I'm terrified, I'm just so enthusiastic about where the show wants to go. We have so many memorable, amazing characters to follow, and I imagine before too long, THORKELL will have to get his hands dirty again, and for him, that will literally be Christmas morning. But until then, we know what he'll be doing. He'll be kicking his feet up, he'll be grumpy, he'll probably punch a few people if they get in his way or they don't fill his cup the exact way he wants. But at some point, this man's gonna be an absolute unit again, and the fact that I just always forget about it. You literally have the king on the horse, and he's like eye level with this monstrosity of a man, and I love it. But of course, I'll pass the torch over to everyone. What did you think of episode 5 of Vinland Season 2? Do let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get as many notifications to the channel as possible, and of course, as I mentioned, we have that full live reaction available on my Patreon, so consider supporting if you so wish. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.